Hi Upstream. We are going to make fudge today. Now before we get started, you can see I've got all of my ingredients out here, but the first thing I'm going to do, and this is totally optional, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to use this cake pan. It's a square one. You can use a regular, like a 9x13 pan. It's just going to be thinner fudge. This one's going to be thicker fudge. And I like to line my pan with foil. Again, this is totally optional. I like to do it this way because then it's easy to take them out later. If you end up doing this, you just want to make sure that you get the foil all the way to the edges and then set that aside. Other couple of things that you have to do before we actually get started cooking is take your bag of chocolate chips and actually cut them open and put it in a bowl. Don't eat any because you need every single one of these. Okay, you can eat one, but you need every single one of these. It'll be a lot easier if you've already have the bag cut open and put in a bowl. The next thing, take your marshmallow, and there's a little tab on here. Actually rip it off. Sometimes it's actually really hard to do that, and you need to actually have it ready to go when it's time to use it. I'm just going to throw that away. And keep this lid. You're going to need that too. Okay? So we're going to set these two things aside, the chocolate chips and the marshmallow, because we're not going to use them right now. And I'm also going to set aside my vanilla. That comes last. However, I'm going to put a teaspoon right next to it for when I use it. Okay. So now we have our butter, our sugar, and our evaporated milk. Now, if we look at our recipe, optional number 1 was to line the cake pan with foil. 2, in a large kettle or saucepan, combine sugar, butter, and evaporated milk. So I'm going to take my measuring spoon, and my recipe says I need, that's loud, 3 cups sugar. 1, 2, I think it might be easy. 3. I'm going to set that aside. Now it says I need 3/4 of a cup of butter. Now each one of these is a half. So this is half. So I just need half of this one or another quarter to make 3/4 or 3/4. So I'm going to just put this one in. And then I'm actually going to get a knife If you have a sharp knife, you can just cut right through the paper. I don't have a sharp knife right here, so I'm just going to cut it in half. Place that one in. And then here's extra butter for your family. And lastly, I'm going to take my evaporated milk. Got my church key. And I need 2/3. So I'm going to take my 1/3 cup measure and I'm going to do it twice. Okay, I'll see you at the stove. Okay, so I'm ready to actually start cooking this. But before I do that, I'm going to gather my other things that I set aside, and I'm going to put my chocolate chips right here, my marshmallow cream right here, and I'm even going to open up my vanilla, put the cap right there, and then have the teaspoon right next to it. The reason is, when it's time to add these into the big kettle, you have to do it really quickly. And in fact, here's another clue. I'm actually going to move this slightly away to remind me that that comes last, that these two come first and that comes last. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Right now, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just start melting the butter. Oops, I will turn this light for you. That might be a little bit easier. Now, if you did the cherry chocolate cake session with me, you'll remember our cherry chocolate or our chocolate fudge frosting. And for that one, we had to make a rolling boil, or we had to get the mixture to a rolling boil. Same thing here, except this time, once it's at a full rolling boil, we have to boil it for 4 minutes. So it's actually going to get really hot, okay? Which is why I actually chose a really nice long wooden spoon here, because then my hand doesn't have to get too close to it. So we'll check back with you just in a bit when we actually are looking to see if we have a full rolling boil. Okay, so I'm at a full rolling boil. That means that as I'm stirring, it's still bubbling like crazy. As soon as it gets to this spot where it's boiling, and even though I'm stirring, it's still bubbling, set your timer for exactly 4 minutes. Okay, so my timer just went off, so I'm gonna turn off the heat. Now, I'm gonna take my chocolate chips, and now here's a tip. Take your spatula, dip it in the hot mixture, and that'll make it easier to get your marshmallow cream out. And you really have to get all of the marshmallow cream, and sometimes it's tricky. But if you just get the hot butter mixture, and then I'm gonna wipe that off. Remember that lid? Just gonna set that on my lid. And now I need to stir. So show the pot in here. Now I need to stir, and stir like crazy, because all of this has to melt. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of marshmallow in there, and I'm gonna have to keep stirring until it's melted. See you in a minute. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of the marshmallow has melted. So now that we only see a little bit of it, we add our 1 teaspoon vanilla. Set that aside, and then we keep stirring until there's no more marshmallow left that you can see, that it's all melted. Check back with you. Okay, so my fudge is ready to pour. Now my pan is hot, and yours might be also. So I'm actually using a towel, trying not to get in your shadows. It's kind of hard. One of the lights burned out in my kitchen. So I'm gonna start dipping like that, but then I'm actually gonna get my spoon. Actually, Sarah, can you come on over and help me? So Sarah, I'm gonna have you pour or spoon that out while I hold this. Okay, try to do it quickly. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so there's still a little bit more in there, but I'm going to show you that with this, you can just smooth it down. Okay, so I forgot about this. We have some sprinkles, and there were candy cane, and then there were some holly. If you want, you can add these, and then just lightly press them in. You don't have to do this. This is only if you want to. I'm only going to put them on about that right there. And then again, I'm just lightly touching to set them. There you go. Okay, so my fudge has cooled. And this is the reason why I like doing it in the foil. But again, it's totally optional. So I just do this. And then I cut it this way. Now, if you want to show the camera here, as you can see, there's these edges, and this is going to happen in every pan, that the edges are going to be a little bit wonky. So I usually just cut those off. That's what my mom used to call the dregs. Now the good thing is that these are what your family can nibble on. Oops, looks like that just broke off. So I usually get just a little plate. And I put all these dregs. And then when they come in, they say, "What, is the fudge ready?" You say, "Ah, you can have one of those little pieces." So I've done that, and I'm going to do this side. And then you're going to go ahead and cut them into just little pieces. A little bit of fudge goes a long way. Now, I'm actually, because of the candy, I'm kind of cutting them so that I don't cut a candy cane. But a little bit of fudge goes a long way. Now, if you want to get really fancy with your presentation, you take a muffin cup, especially if you're giving these to people, and you can put a whole bunch on some muffin cups in a little tray, and it will look really special. As you can see, some of the candies are coming off. It's okay, they're totally optional. And there you go.